Welcome back to another episode of Vibes Daily. My name is Gerald. I will be your resident storyteller for the night. This is a video request from Phantom Lunchbox. Thanks for the request. I kind of like doing these, even though it puts me in a kind of creepy energy, but sometimes we got to face our fears anyways. If anybody has a video request, drop them on this video or on my photo, and if I like it, I'll do it. Send you a shout out, put you in the title, therefore. But this will be the story of my two dads, the life of Louis, Lestat, and Claudia. This viewer discretion contains disturbing content, so viewer discretion is advised. So here we go. The story starts with Louis. Louis had recently just lost a loved one. He really no longer valued his life. He couldn't stand the shame of the experience he went through, and he just started drinking himself into a stupor. He'd get bombed and just start wandering through dark galleries, seeing what would happen maybe. So one day he got what he wanted, and he came across this individual. And this individual was a vampire named Lestat. And Lestat had drained him to his last ounce. But he was infatuated with Louis. There was something about Louis. He saved him. He took him to the hospital, let him get revived and everything. And after Louis had recovered a little bit, Lestat came back to visit and revealed to Louis who he really was. He was the vampire Lestat. And he gave him a choice. I could turn you into what I am, or I could just end it right now, bud. And Louis was still going through his despair, but he was indeed infatuated with Lestat as well. So he's like, yeah, let's do this. What do I got to lose? So there we go. Boom. Lestat, Louis, chilling. See, Louis going through his change, his special power was he would hold on to his humanity. Lestat wanted him to be the brutal, man-hunting killer, but Louis just really not got into it. He struggled with taking lives, and he was a philosopher. Lestat was infatuated with this man for a reason. He was a real complex individual. But Louis doing his wandering again, struggling with not taking lives, and he came across a little girl named Claudia of 5 years old, and he had his senses were tingling. He knew she had the plague. So he's like, well, she's gonna die anyways. Might as well, save her some time. So he had done the same thing Lestat had did to him. He drained her to her last little bit of blood, and before her little heart stopped beating, he took her to the hospital that cured that tended to the plague. The hospital specially made for the plague, and indeed she did have the plague. And Lestat ended up finding out about this, and he ended up taking Louis back to see her, and he did not like this decision, but Lestat ended up turning 5-year-old Claudia into a vampire, and they could have a beautiful little family. And, Louis didn't like it. Of course he didn't. Louis was still human, individual, but it is what it is. They have their daughter, and they could live their life. They could give her a good life, and And it started off well. Louis would teach her philosophy. She became a wonderful, student of philosophy and everything. But this little girl had two lives. Lestat would take her out, teach her how to be a ruthless hunter, and she was a 5-year-old girl, and she was beginning to age. There was one thing that resonated with Claudia having these talks with Lestat, as he had told her, "You will never age. Where you're at now, that's it. The rest of, however, you're forever. You're a vampire now. You're a 5-year-old girl forever." And as she got older, she began to resent Lestat, and she was furious. She desperately wanted to be a woman, have a woman's body. She knew she was never going to get it. And she was going through her, adolescent vampire stages, I guess. She would essentially drink all the blood of the wait staff, of the staff at their manor, and just leave the bodies laying around like nothing. She would, her little girl charm, she would lure unsuspecting, anybody that would, "Oh, what a good little girl," hug her, and she was a ruthless killer, and she would never mature. She would never mature, and she just began to, every day that went by, she'd resent Lestat, resent, and finally she's like, goes to Louis, her other dad, and they despise a plan to get rid of Lestat, and for some reason Louis goes along with it. And Louis, they share the same bond of, you know being given this curse by Lestat. Like, all right, let's go with it. Let's get rid of Lestat. We'll leave. We'll find another brood, and everything's gonna be hunky dory. Yeah. Okay. Anyways, Claudia gets the blood of a a deceased child and serves it to Lestat. Lestat drinks it, and it weakens him a lot. And she comes from behind him and boom, ear to ear, baby. Lestat's dead. Let's take him to the swamp. Throw him in the swamp. Done. So yeah, that happens, but Lestat's not gone. He comes back, fight ensues, and Louis ends up setting him on fire. That's it, because fire is super dangerous to vampires. That is one of the main ways vampires choose to end themselves, is setting themselves on fire. So there's no way Lestat is coming back. So, let's ride off in the sunset. Me, Louis, and my 5-year-old vampire daughter. Whatever. So they end up in New Orleans. They find a brood. And they find Armand. Armand is the leader of a brood for the Theater des Vampires. Armand is immediately infatuated with Louis, immediately, and the feelings were mutual. But they're like, "What's up with Claudia?" They knew right away. And the vampire have two rules: you don't end another vampire, and you don't turn anybody before a certain age. So immediately, Claudia was doomed. But for some reason, Armand was so wanted Louis so bad. He prolonged it as long as he can, and they got her a mom. They turned a mom for her. So Armand was grooming this other vampire to be her caretaker. So Armand and Louis could, you know, be together by themselves without a 5-year-old vampire. On a side note, I want to tell you about the theater they would perform. Just real quick. They were vampires pretending to be human, pretending to be vampires. And they would actually end the lives of real human victims on stage. And, it was the greatest show in town because everyone thought it was just great theatrics. But sidebar done. Let's go. Claudia's got a new mom. Louis and Armand are living fine together. And good old Lestat decides to show up all frail and beat up, but he's still alive. And he wants help to get revenge on Louis and Claudia. And they're having a meeting with the whole theater brood. And Armand wants Lestat to confess that it was indeed Claudia and Louis who tried to end his life. He said, "You darn tootin' it was." And there it is. Armand had his proof to end Claudia, and unfortunately he had to punish Louis as well, but that's the way it goes. Louis did not get the death penalty. They just buried him alive, but they sentenced Claudia to be skedaddle. But during their time with, on the days leading to Claudia's execution, she had her little devilish charm. Somehow she had convinced Armand to do an experiment on her. She dearly wanted the body of a woman, so she struck a deal with Armand. She said, "If you get me the body of a woman, I swear I'm out of here. Let me live. I'll go do my own thing. You and Louis, you could have Louis. For some reason, Armand had agreed to this. He had no idea. He's not a surgeon. He's nothing, but maybe it was she had a little bit of enchantment left in her. Or maybe if it worked, he wanted to carry even more favor with Louis. Like, hey, I saved your daughter, whatever. So he gets her to her lab, and Armand, he has to end another woman vampire to perform the surgery. So he gets he does that, and his plan is to make Claudia's head no more, make the other woman vampire head no more, and just put Claudia's head on the head of the woman vampire. Stitch it up. Boom. Vampires have healing properties in their blood. I don't think either of them thought this was ever going to work, but she was sentenced to die anyways, and I don't know, maybe he had this long lifetime dream of becoming a mad scientist, Dr. Frankenstein. But he tried, and oh boy, did it fail. He doesn't never like talking about that much, but it happened, and she had to have gone through the most excruciating pain. And he had to go through the most excruciating pain because for the longest time, that's all he could see were the stitches, black stitches he used to transplant her head on the woman vampire. Needless to say, it did not work. And she had come to, again, the last little grip of her life. And he ended up just putting her in a shaft along with her other mother until the sun come up and the evidence was ruined. She had been turned to ash. And that is the short life of Claudia. If you like this content, please subscribe if you'd like. And again, drop a request, video request if you like. I like it, send you a shout out, put you in the title. But until next time, I'll see you on the flip side.